Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Dr. Pamela Fox joining us live here today once again, based out of beautiful Arlington, Texas. She joins us to talk more about all the work she does as the chief, well, we call her not just chief executive officer, but the chief empathy officer, right? And clinical director, certified clinical trauma professional, licensed social worker. She's a woman with many titles as a psychotherapist, social work supervisor, life coach, also pastoral counselor at Synergy Counseling and Coaching Center and Foxfire Outreach Ministries. She is well on fire, and she's here with all her areas of expertise to help you in so many different areas. So let me welcome you back. How are you?
Thank you. I am doing well, doing very well. As you already know as well, this is International Women's History Month.
Yes,
We're celebrating the accomplishments of women all over the world. So this is a great day and time to meet.
Beautiful. It sure is. PamelaFox.net. Is that the correct website for you?
Yes, that is. Thank you so much.
And I mean, wearing many hats as a reverend, as a life coach, as a mentor. Let's just give a little bit of your background. How would you describe the services you provide for our listeners?
I would say just in a nutshell, because I'm what I call an OG, original gangster from the South Side of Chicago, also known as these days an old grandmother. So I've been around a long time. I've done a lot of work in various fields, but I would say just to get it down to a nutshell, what I'm doing currently is mental health and wellness therapy and transformational life coaching in a variety of areas in terms of the coaching.
Beautiful. Well, we're excited to have you here and want to point out a little recap from last week. We talked a little about finances, right? And the financial aspect of coaching that we could all use some help with. Could you just piggyback a little bit on that before we continue further today?
Absolutely. Last time, because we are now in tax season for many people, in tax season, and don't want to get people unduly anxious about that. Just, turn in your paperwork like you're supposed to. If you can do it on your own, if it's kind of a simple sort of tax form that you need to prepare and submit, you do that. But if it's more complicated, you need some help with that, find a CPA that's within your budget and get her done on time. But I would say from last time, we talked about the importance of making a budget, about buying a used car rather than a new car, trying not to engage in luxury spending, things of that nature, trying to live below your means as best you can, because too much spending is too much. So we really need to be mindful about having a budget.
And speaking of that, we've been hurt. It's so funny. My mom, when she was alive, she used to watch what's her name? Not Nancy Grace. She's the financial woman on MSNBC. She always talks about, I forget her name, but my mom tried teaching me some awareness, but it didn't happen until my 20s and 30s. And then when she passed, I was in my 40s and I'm like, oh my goodness, I should have listened. I should have done this. I should have invested. I should have saved. Now I'm like lost without my mother, lost without help. But what are some of the common mistakes that we make in life? Especially women, it's Women's History Month, when it comes to our finances.
I would say if we use very wealthy people as an example, what we know from their stories that they share with us is that very wealthy people don't buy expensive clothes. They buy, pretty inexpensive clothing items, which is something to consider. They don't flaunt their luxury vacations. If they go on a luxury vacation, they don't flaunt it on social media because it's not anybody's business in their opinion. They don't spoil their friends and family with luxury gifts. And they typically drive used cars.
Interesting.
And the point of the matter is that they're not really concerned about what other people think. They're not trying to impress people or emulate some rock star. And they just want to live a simple life and earmark their money for later use or charitable donations or giving it to friends and families when they pass away.
Yeah.
So if that's what wealthy people do, very wealthy people, maybe that's something that we everyday people can do as well.
Good idea. Instead of trying to shop at all the fancy, have the right bag, the right shoes.
Right.
I'm a Macy's shopper and I'm proud of my 20% off coupon. So that's some good advice. What else did you want to add?
I would say too, in terms of just overall financial health, that it's important for us, even as a young age in our 20s, to think about being a wealth builder.
Mm-hmm.
and not, again, not signaling your wealth, but just earmarking dollars kind of for a rainy day. The goal is to have, if you can, $1,000 rainy day fund in case of emergency,
Yep.
ideally up to $2,000 in that regard. And beyond that, to save as you can 3 to 6 months of
Yep.
your revenue for
Okay.
expenses if something happens. So those are good, very basic things to think about, including living beyond, below your means, not beyond your means, but below your means, are good things for young people, middle-aged people, older adult people to think about.
Yes, and you told us to put a little money on the side, the stash. What was it, like
Yeah.
$2,500 or something to hold off in case of an emergency, if something breaks in the
Right,
house, right? We
right,
talked about
right.
that.
Yes, yes, yes. But the other thing is that some people are facing, as you already know, financial hardships right now. And so if
Mhm.
people are facing financial hardships, they find themselves running out of money before the end of the month. They need to regroup and do a reset in terms of looking at their bank account, looking line by line, item by item in terms of what they're spending according to their bank account. Begin to set up a budget where the money that's coming in is equal to the money that's going out. You try not to get yourself in trouble in that regard. You pay your most urgent bills first: food, clothing, shelter, healthcare, transportation are on the items of urgent matters. You have to have a place to stay, got to have food, got to pay your utilities, you got to have transportation to get around. And then you have to look at cutting your spending. And sometimes what that means is getting rid of some of those subscriptions that mindful subscriptions to this, that, and the other that really add up over time, that are really taxing your budget. And then looking at making extra money, like getting a part-time job, delivering packages or whatever, but trying to get some kind of extra income coming in, what that provides for you, because you're already under stress, because your finances are not in good working order, it provides you with peace of mind. Peace of mind.
And
That's a
that's a
good
lot of my
thing.
friends are doing that part-time on the side. The Instacart driving, also the Uber Eats. There's
Yes,
Uber driving, and
yes,
it's really, I think, helps so many people.
yes,
And
yes,
it's such a booming business.
yes,
And if you have your own vehicle, especially, this is a great way to make extra income on the
yes,
off hours when you
yes,
can. So that's a great
yes.
suggestion to always have another backup form of
Yes.
income.
The thing is that I know too, I'm a grandparent, but I know parents who have young children are often challenged by child care costs.
Yes.
It's so expensive nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And some kids are able to go to Head Start, but some kids got to go to the daycare center, and the daycare centers tend to be pretty expensive. So you got to have somebody to watch your children while you go to work, but you just need
Yeah.
to be mindful, because that's a budget item too.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the parents can hardly wait until their children are of age where they can go to the big school, and then their childcare costs have lessened tremendously, unless they have to do after school care.
Yeah, there was a study in New York City. It was on the news last week about how so many people cannot afford, the one parent has to stay home. It doesn't make sense to work because childcare, they said on the news, should be like 7% of your income. But it turns out in the New York area, and I'm sure it's like this in a lot of places, I'll ask you about Texas in just a sec. It's like over half your income. It just
Yeah,
baffling. What is
yeah.
childcare expenses like in your area? Just curious. And you are, by the
It's
way, in
it's it's
Texas.
pretty high. It's pretty high. I don't have a number off the top of my head, but I know, talking to friends who have young kids, that it's a pretty sizable chunk of their monthly income. So, and as you know, the rent and mortgages are too high right now. So you have to pay, because you have to have some place to stay.
Yeah.
But if, let's say, I don't know, 40% of your income is going toward housing, and let's say 30% is going to childcare,
Yeah.
that doesn't leave you with much money.
No, it does not. Not at all. Oof. All right. What else financial wise did you want to discuss today? It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So some people are talking about this thing called FIRE,
Mhm.
FIRE, which is financial independence, retiring early,
Ooh.
hoping hoping that they can retire at age 40 or 50 or something like that, long before the Social Security retirement ages. And so some of the financial gurus who've been in this line of work for a long time are saying that that is not sustainable unless you have lots of money in your investment accounts. Because if you live a long time beyond the age of 70, you have to have a steady stream of income to maintain your lifestyle. And if you retire at 40, at the peak of your working years, and you don't have enough dollars earmarked in your Social Security fund, you may have a problem. And so again, the financial analysts are saying that retiring early for most people may not be doable because, as the young people say, life be lifing. Life just gets in the way of things, and life is way too unpredictable. You could have some health emergencies, or an accident, or the stock market could go down, what have you, and all of that will impact your lifestyle if you retire at age 45.
Yeah. Well, what is the average age of retirement? Could you tell us again?
The average age of retirement for many people is about 65.
Okay.
Some people retire before that. And so it's a good question from last time in terms of looking at the Social Security full retirement age. So if you were born in a certain year, and I'll give you the years, the year 1943 to 1954, the retirement age is 66.
Got
You were
it.
born in 1955, like me, the retirement age
never
is
know.
66 years and 2 months.
Oh, wow.
So,
All right.
so that's when I took full retirement, 66 years and 2 months. So
Yes.
the years later than that, full retirement age is different. So if a person was born in 1960 or later, the full retirement age is 67 years old. But if you want to get the maximum amount of money from Social Security, the recommendation is that you try to retire at age 70.
Okay. All right. Well, on the finance side of things, I know is there still more you wanted to add for this? And there's so much more to your work. What else did you want to share for today?
The other things I would share for today for your listeners is that speaking about retirement, that it's necessary, again, according to the researchers, to, if you can, try to replace, based on your previous working years, try to replace 70% of your annual income. Meaning, we'll use $50,000 as an example. So the recommendation is that you try to replace 70% of $50,000, or whatever your highest earning years were. And there's some people that's doable. For a lot of people, it's not doable.
Yeah.
And so it necessitates for a lot of people that they're just going to have to work and work and work and work, maybe beyond 70, until they can't work anymore.
Yeah.
Based on the health condition.
Oh, and with the the price in homing and housing, it's ridiculous. I mean, we're seeing a lot of generations living and moving in with each other, which I think is fantastic. It is, but that's also like the only way, it seems, for people to be able to afford living these days.
So for young people who go off to college and then they try to get themselves established in their career, only to find they can't afford to live independently from their parents. And then sometimes they have to come back home to live with their parents to get a reset in order to get themselves together so they can save enough money in order to launch themselves into independent living.
Yeah.
And so that could be a good thing or not a good thing, because there can be conflict between the parents and that adult child who wants to be independent and is like, oh no, I'm back at home with my parents, and they feel bad about that.
Yeah.
Because being at home with your parents, I know as a therapist, has what they call a regressive pull emotionally. And so sometimes unconsciously, the parents treat the adult child as if they were a teenager. And the adult child does not want to be treated like a teenager. They just happen to need to live there because they need a place to stay, and they know their parents are going to hopefully take good care of them for a short-term basis, but they don't want to be treated like a kid. And so sometimes between the parent and the adult child, there's conflict because of that.
Yeah, that's so true. And, let me just ask, and then you have the living, how do things change this whole, I remember because my mom, let's see, unfortunately she's passed, but she was your age. She was born in 55, and they all moved out of the house as quick as they could. it was like rapid fire. And then my generation, I was born in 78. I kind of did too. I moved out at 18, 19. I was independent, wanted to work, and I thought that's what you had to do. And then, but my sister, she stayed longer. And now I see all these parents and these kids, everyone's staying longer. And is that also, what about motivational? What does that go to do society as a whole? Because it seems like people, younger generations, this is my opinion only, that not as motivated enough because they have mommy and daddy, which is great. But at the same time, where's your accountability? And what is that teaching us, that I don't have to work as hard because I don't have to pay the electric, I don't have to pay for the water, I don't have to pay for the phone bill. It's like, so then you wonder now what that next generation is going to be like when they have kids, and it's like a trickle down effect.
It's a trickle down effect, because back in the day, my condolences on the loss of your mom.
Thank
But
you.
back in the day, back in the 50s, and people would become adults and then they left the family home, they could afford to rent an apartment. It was
Mm-hmm.
affordable based on whatever their income was, and the incomes back in the day were not that good.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, you've done all your years of college, you got your diploma and what have you. You cannot, many young people cannot afford to pay $2,000 a month for an apartment or more.
It's crazy.
For an apartment, based on where you live geographically.
Yeah.
They just can't do it. So they have to go back home. They graduate, they have their diploma, they're trying to get themselves launched in their career, but they cannot afford to have a place to stay and have a car.
Nope.
So they have to make a choice. So this situation that we're in right now, we have left a long time ago. We were in the agricultural age, then we went into the industrial age, and now we're in the technological age. Technological age, it is what it is, AI and all that stuff. And some people are saying some of these jobs going forward, because of AI, are not going to require a college degree.
Yeah.
You just have to have a certain skill set. Then you can be able to do certain jobs. So that's going to impact higher education. That's a talk for another day, because I used to work in higher education, retired faculty member. But that's going to impact higher ed, because people cannot afford, because of student loans, they can't afford to go to college. And some people are doing better financially by being in a vocation as opposed to being a college grad. I mean, plumbers, electricians, and truck drivers are making a lot of money.
Yeah.
They're making a lot of money, and they're able to take care of their family.
Mm-hmm. Very important.
Very important. And in our typical American society, we are generally not used to having multi-generations in one household. And so nowadays, because of financial constraints, people are having to have multiple generations in one household.
Mm-hmm.
And the middle-aged people tend to be called what they are called the sandwich generation. They're taking care of older adults and they're taking care of young adults. And they're like in the middle, stressed out to the max.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So going forward, talking about, what does the future hold? It's going to be interesting how things are going to work out going forward because of these different constraints from a financial and from a relational perspective. That is going to impact families and launching the young adult children. Yeah.
We call that failure to launch. It's a good movie,
Failure
but
to
it's a
launch.
different.
They keep coming back.
I know.
Boomerang.
Totally. Well, remind us, Pamela, how we could reach you.
I'm available at through my website, primarily www.PamelaFox, all one word, lowercase letters, .net. Again, that's www.PamelaFox.net, and also my email address, which is drpam@att.net. Again, that's Dr. Pam Fox at att.net.
Perfect. Thank you again. What else is on tap for today? We still have some time left on the show, so we got more on the agenda going here with our social work supervisor, life coach, our clinical director, and our minister, our pastoral counselor. She does it all. God bless you.
Thank you so much. I've been to school a lot, for many, many years. My mother's very proud of me, long-term educator. My dad was a sergeant with Chicago Police Department, so education was really emphasized in the family that I grew up in. But finances, because I grew up with 4 other siblings, so a family of 7. So it was a large family, and faith was a part of our driving force. but we also had to be strategic in what we did together as a family.
Yeah.
But I would share in the minutes we have remaining. Uh-oh. Lost my video.
Oh,
I would
gotcha.
share- I'm back.
Picture
And
looks
so
good.
in the minutes we have remaining, I would share with the audience about, trying to take some baby steps, trying to get busy with how to do better in terms of their financial wellness. And so some recommendations, again, from some people who've really researched this very closely, is that you have to control your personal budget. You have to create a budget. Again, that emergency starter fund, trying to get to a goal minimally of $1,000, but more than that,
Mm-hmm.
to do something called a debt snowball, which you start with the lowest bill you have first and try to pay that one off. Then you go to the next one and then to the next one and to the next one. And psychologically, it's very rewarding to pay
Okay.
off bills as you go, as best you
Yeah.
can. And then we've already talked about working a side hustle, a gig job of some sort, Uber, Lyft, whatever you need to do to make some extra money. I know we talked about investments, and investments are important, but you got to work on the debt snowball aspect in order to have money set aside for your investments. So try to earmark some dollars, small amount in the beginning for your investments until you can get your debts paid off. And then the other thing that they recommend is to stop using credit cards, to try to use your debit card primarily, because your debit card will hold you accountable. Because you only have so much money in your account.
Yeah.
Your
True.
credit card, you're just gonna be, a little liberal with what you buy because, no big deal. But it's 23% or more interest rate.
Yeah.
So debit card, way to go. Trying to achieve that 3 to 6 months of expenses earmarked as time goes on. Trying to not do so much optional spending. So
Okay.
stay out the luxury stores and the designer stores if you can. Get rid of subscriptions that you don't use.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to the store, try to have a grocery list and stay with the list. Try not to deviate so much from your because groceries is not cheap nowadays.
No, it is super expensive. It's
Eggs, meat, etc.
yeah.
And then you try to eat healthy and it costs more to eat healthy. Vegetables and fruit, come on now.
Yeah.
It's a bit much. But you do the best you can, try to stick to your grocery list. And then when you go to any store, if you can, you try to buy generic. Again, you don't have to necessarily have the name brand unless you really, really, really want it, but you better be in the budget. And take your lunch to work and make your own coffee.
I like this.
Splurge every now and then, but mostly eat at home.
Yep.
Take your lunch, make your own coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Few more items that's on the list. Don't lease a car. Considered to be a money trap.
Yeah. What is your advice on that? Could you share that?
Used car. Buy a used car.
Used car. Yep.
Buy a used car, ideally with cash if you can. Then you won't have a car note.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a decent car that's drivable and it's going to get you to where you got to go, and it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
New cars are nice, but they're not in the budget.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Keep earmarking dollars for the retirement fund. Keep putting money in the 401k or whatever retirement fund that you have. Keep doing that. When things are better for you financially, try to invest in real estate. Real estate is a good option. And it's just a good thing after you're debt free.
Mm-hmm.
And then try to have the goal if you can. It probably is not real doable right now.
Yep.
Earmarking 25% of your income for housing. For most people, housing is 50% of their income right now. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. And we don't want to be homeless,
Nope.
but we gotta do the best we can with that regard. The other couple things is gotta have the essential insurances.
Yeah.
The life insurance, the home insurance, the car insurance, the long-term care insurance, so forth and so on, disability insurance, all of that. Some of that's provided through one's employer, but if you're self-employed like me, then you have to pay for that yourself.
Yeah.
So it means that you got to really generate some revenue to pay these essential insurances that you need. One researcher says you got to act your wage. Not act your age, act your wage.
I love that.
You
I've
know,
never heard
if
that.
if you know you don't have a whole lot of money, then you just keep it humble, keep it real.
Yeah.
Okay, and act your wage and become financially literate, which is what we're doing today. What we did last time, what we're doing today, trying to get that information out there to the public.
Yeah.
Financial literacy. They say that 20% from the financial literacy standpoint, 20% is knowledge, 80% is behavior.
Got it.
You got to change what you do.
I love it.
Got to
Well,
change
thank
what
you.
do. Create a will, and then
Yeah, we
get a
talked about
financial
that.
advisor.
Mhm.
Financial advisor, yeah.
All
So that's
right.
kind of
And
the short list.
well, we unfortunately are out of time. Could you share how we can contact you?
Yes, please feel free to contact me through my website, www.PamelaFox, all lowercase letters.net, or my email address, drpamfox@att.net. Again, that's Dr. Pam Fox @att.net.
Always a pleasure having you here, teaching us something new. We love the
My
information. We
pleasure.
love talking.
My
So
pleasure.
next time, do you have, I got a teaser for next time we speak. Do you know what we're talking about then? You don't have to. I'm putting you on the spot.
I think we're going to talk about trauma-informed care.
Okay. All right.
Trauma-informed
Thank you.
care. But I'll share as we conclude today. My T-shirt for today, it says high level.
Oh, I love it. Oh,
You got to get to
beautiful.
a high level.
We sure do. Let's elevate and help each other elevate. Thank you
right.
so much. You have
God
a
bless you.
fantastic day. And to everyone, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more. Thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.